السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah, how's everyone doing?
الحمد لله.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Okay. Allahu Akbar. Today, inshallah, we will be continuing our discussion on zakat. And like I mentioned last time, I won't be using the textbook today. We're going to go through these slides, and I will share these on Moodle, inshallah. These are some of the slides that we usually use in our Fiqh al-Zakat workshops that we have before Ramadan and during Ramadan. So, a quick recap. Zakat is something that is due on the wealth that a person has in excess of their day-to-day expenses when that reaches the nisab. We talked about the nisab. It's currently around $525, $530. If a person has that amount of wealth, from then their zakat year starts, and 1 year from then they start paying zakat on that every year going onwards, unless in the middle at some point they lose all their money. Then when they regain their wealth, they restart their zakat year from that time. We talked a bit about debts last time, so you can deduct debts from your zakatable assets. I think we even looked at this practice. This one. We'll come back to that. I want to talk about loans a little bit first as well. So when you calculate your total zakatable assets, you could subtract any funds, any amount that is owing on you at that time. So overdue invoices, utilities that are due, if rent is due at that time, any tickets, anything that is owing on you at that time, you can deduct, as well as any loan you are paying back in the next 12 months. Right, so often you can use that with house payments, with the car payments, any other long-term loans. You can deduct the capital amount, not the interest amount if there's interest in it. Only the capital amount, you can deduct that from your zakatable assets. Okay, you cannot deduct future expenses. Keep that in mind. Okay, future expenses you cannot deduct. So next month's rent, for example, you cannot deduct. Okay, you're going on some journey or some trip. You're going to be spending a certain amount of money. Well, you can't deduct that because that is a future expense. All right, so anything that's going to come in the future, or if it's further ahead than 12 months, you cannot deduct that. Okay, Jazakallah for letting me know. Similarly, any unlawful income someone has, they cannot deduct. You cannot deduct that wealth. Okay. So if you have a large amount of interest that is owing, you can't deduct that. Similarly, if you have unlawful wealth, you don't pay zakat on that. Okay, zakat doesn't apply anywhere, doesn't touch anything to unlawful wealth. Okay. Now, loans. So we talked about weak loans. We didn't call it a weak loan, but basically any money that is owed to you, any money that is owed to you, not because you gave someone money. Okay, any money that is owed to you, not because you gave someone money, but it's owed to you for some other reasons. It could be the dowry for a woman. It could be inheritance that someone is going to receive, right? Or someone said they're going to give you a certain amount of money. If you don't have that yet, zakat doesn't apply to it in any way or form, right? Once you get the wealth, you don't backdate it either. You add it to your wealth. Now, next time your zakat date comes, you still have that wealth. You'll pay zakat on it. Okay. Yes, Dayab.
Sorry, Sheikh, quickly on the last slide, what did you mention regarding unlawful income? Sorry, what was it?
Any unlawful income that a person has,
Yeah.
zakat doesn't apply to it. So you don't pay zakat on it. And you can't deduct it either if it's in the form of a loan or something.
Right. Okay, makes sense. I was thinking in terms of deductible, but even in terms of unlawful income,
Yeah,
no
both
zakat
ways.
on it. Okay.
Okay, now loan, strong debt. Strong debt is an actual loan where you gave someone money and now you're expecting it back. Okay, so zakat is due on this type of wealth. Zakat is due. So, but you have an option. You have the choice there that either you can defer it until when you get the money back and then backdate and pay zakat on all the years that pass. Let's say it's a large amount of loan you gave someone, and you know how you don't have other liquid assets to pay off, to pay the zakat, right? It could happen if it's a very large amount. You don't have other cash to pay it, so you wait when you get your loan back, then you pay your zakat, and you backdate it all the years, and you pay that, right? Now, if you are able to pay it, let's say it's a small amount, or you have money, you have other liquid assets that you could use to pay it, then you pay it. Okay, no problem. You pay it every year as you go along, and you just, because it's your wealth, right? Someone, you lent it to someone else, but it's still your ownership. They're not going to pay zakat on it. You are. Okay, and you're allowed to defer it even if you have money. Okay, I know. I think the way I said it, it made it sound like only defer it if it's a large amount you can't manage to pay the zakat. That's not the case. Even if you have cash and you could pay the zakat for it, you don't have to. You're allowed to. You're allowed to wait and pay it once you get that money back. Okay. If you lose money, or you gave someone a loan and now you think like you've been asking them to give it back, and they're not giving it, and now you've basically lost hope, then there's no zakat on it. Then you should not pay zakat on it. Wait until you ever do get it back or you find that wealth. If you do happen to, then you backdate and you pay the zakat on that. All right. Any questions on loans or debts? All good? Okay. So we looked at this one last time, right? So a person's cash, gold, silver, you add all these up, the loan they gave to the masjid. So in this case, this person doesn't want to defer it, they want to pay it now. Right, so $2,000, add that up, you got 15,600. And their deductibles, where they have a monthly car finance at 0% interest. So it's all capital amount. You do that times 12, plus a loan that you owe to your friend, and you plan to pay it back in the next year. You add those together, 4,600 minus that from 15,600, 11,000 pays zakat 2.5% on the $11,275. Okay. I was gonna mention something. Yes, if you intend to pay back a loan in the next year, so you deduct it from your zakat, and then you end up not paying it, you don't have to pay zakat on that now. Okay, if you were sincere, okay, you didn't just say, "Yeah, I'm gonna pay back this year," and then you just to avoid paying the zakat. No, that you can't do. Then you owe the zakat. But if you sincerely had an intention to pay back the zakat, and you were not able to for some reason, you don't have to pay zakat on that now. It's done. It's already passed. It's gone. Reassess when you get to it next year now. Okay, we're gonna skip this one for now. In a business, zakat, and if you have a business, a company. So if it's a waqf, one translation of that is like an endowment, or basically like a masjid is a waqf, where it's dedicated for the sake of Allah. So things like that, there's no zakat on any wealth of that business. Okay, I mean legally it's looked at as a business, so there's no zakat on anything like that. Okay, a masjid, a madrasa, a graveyard, if it's waqf. Okay, some graveyards are for profit, then there will be zakat on that. So basically, in a business, in a company, you're going to pay zakat on a few things. One is your cash, okay, cash that you have on hand. You're going to pay zakat on that cash. Okay, cash receivable. If you're owed money, just like personally, if you gave a loan and someone owes it to you, you pay zakat on that. In a business too, you pay zakat on that. Trade receivable. If you sold an item and have not been paid for it yet, you pay zakat on the money that you are expecting, because that money is in place of a merchandise which you would have normally paid zakat on. And that is the last point: stock, inventory, merchandise. If your business is a product-based business, then you must pay zakat on the market value of all your merchandise on your zakat day. Okay. In some cases, you could use the wholesale value. That is also okay according to certain scholars. But these are the things that in a business you need to pay zakat on. What you don't pay zakat on in a business, services receivable. If your business is a service-based business and you're owed money for a service, you don't pay zakat on that, because the money that you're owed is in exchange for a service which itself was not zakatable. You don't pay zakat on a service that you offer, right? And then any prepaid expenses, once you've already paid something, then it's out of the equation. Any fixtures, fittings, property, plant, equipment, anything you need to use to run your business, there's no zakat on that. Okay, whether it's a property, whether it's a car, whether it's shelving, whether it's I don't know, like a cash register, a counter, anything like that that you need to run your business, you don't pay zakat on any of that. Okay, only on the merchandise, cash receivables, and trade receivables. Remember those four things. Okay, and then intangible assets like licenses, patents, and so on. No, there's no zakat on that either. Okay, we're gonna jump forward a bit. I'm not going into too much detail here. Yes, Tayyib?
So just want to understand the services aspect a little bit more. So are we saying there that it's because service, like you provided your time, right? So is that like a good, like, so there, it's not zakatable because you provided your time for whatever service it was, like you
Yeah,
didn't have, it
but
wasn't a tangible
it's not zakatable because it's not a physical asset.
yeah, it's not a tangible. Okay.
Yeah, it's not tangible.
Okay, so
That's right. So now, in looking at in a okay, I'm not going to confuse you with this. This class going to confuse you. We'll look at this one. Um, properties. Properties. I'm just very briefly touching on each of these types of assets. There is more detail in these, but for the purpose of this course, we're not going into that much. Properties. The only time you pay zakat on a property is if you bought it to sell it, and now it is up for sale. In that time, your zakat date comes. If your zakat date comes in that time, you have to pay zakat on the posted price. Okay, because now what's happening, your house, that property that you bought, that is your merchandise, as though it was a business. Okay, so whether it's just one property, whether it's dozens or hundreds, if you bought it to sell it and now you have it posted to sell, and your zakat date comes, you will pay zakat on that. Any other situation, you will not pay zakat on a property. Residential, you're living there, no zakat. Okay, you own 50 houses and you live in them one at a time, no zakat on any of them. A rental property, you bought it, you rented it out, no zakat on that. You're thinking about selling, no zakat. You bought it to sell it, and important, it's up for sale when your zakat date comes. Then you pay zakat on it. Okay. It was up for sale, you change your intention, I'm not going to sell it yet, no zakat anymore. Okay. So again, I'll say it again. You bought it to sell it, and it is up for sale right now. That is the only case where there will be zakat, the property. Okay. Okay, let's look at this practice problem. In fact, I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. Try to solve this one. Okay, so you have a person's personal cash. You have the gold and silver that they own, their business merchandise. It's already been calculated. Their monthly rental income. I didn't mention this. Think about this. Okay, what happens with this? Monthly mortgage amount. We're going to assume this is all capital. A loan given to the masjid, and this person wants to pay zakat on it now. They're not going to defer it. Overdue invoices, trade receivable, meaning they sold an item and they're waiting to be paid. And they have service receivable where they provided a service and now they're waiting to be paid. Okay, so take, I'll give you 4 or 5 minutes. Try to work this out and see how much zakat does this person pay. If you're stuck anywhere, you need some explanation, please feel free to ask. Okay, we have one answer in 725. I don't remember the answer. I have to check the next slide. Anyone else has done it? Put your answer in as well. Let's see what you guys are getting. 2400. Okay. 1305. Okay. Anyone else? Give you 1 more minute. $2,040. Okay.
Mufti, while we wait, I had to quickly step away on the previous slide. I was going to ask about the rental property. I don't know if that's going to tie into the rental income here, but did you elaborate on the rental property? Because it was non-zakatable.
Yeah,
right?
just that there's no zakat on it. Nothing about.
So what?
No.
But what does that mean? That mean, but you are rental property, i.e., people, you're receiving income from it. No.
Yeah.
So it's the income that's zakatable, not the actual value of the property.
Sort of.
Okay, sort of.
I'll explain it on the next one. I don't want to give away
Okay.
the
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it. It's really exactly.
3,982.5. Okay, maybe. Okay, let's look at it. So we got 5 different answers. At least 4 of you are wrong if one is right. Or maybe I did it wrong. 1,005. Okay, so what did we do here? Everything in green we added up. Okay, cash, gold, merchandise, loan. We said you want to pay zakat on it now, and trades receivable because you pay zakat on that. You add those up, and you got 81,600. Deductibles. Well, you have your mortgage times 12. Okay, someone may have forgotten to do times 12. That happens. Was mortgage 2,000 on the previous slide?
Was it 2000 on the previous? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Huh. Yeah, so I told you maybe I did it wrong. Okay. Okay, but this answer is based off of the 3,000. Okay, now let me see what the answer would have been without that then. So it would be 81,600 minus 24,000 minus 4,100 times 0.025. So 1,337.5. That's what it would have been with 2,000. 1,337.5. Okay. So make sure I did that right again. 81,600 minus, so I'm doing this. This is still the same. Then I'm minusing this times 2,000 times 12, so 24,000. And then I'm minusing this 5,400. I get 52,200 times 0.025, 1,305. Okay. Okay, so one of you got it right. Samira got it right. Okay. So the rental income, it's just money, it's just cash that's coming in, right? And just like if cash comes to you from somewhere else, all you do is you add it to your money, right? There's no separate zakat on the rental income. That's why in this calculation, it won't even be considered because technically this is just, this person knows that this is their monthly rental income, right? But whatever they've already received from this rent is already included in here. Okay, so you don't count that again. And then services receivable are not zakatable, so you don't even count that anywhere. Okay, so your answer would have been 1,305. Based on this breakdown with 3,000 mortgage is 1,005. All right. Anything unclear? Yeah, that happens often, forgetting to do the times 12.
What services receivables?
Service receivables where you have a business where you provide a service and you've provided the service, but you have not been paid for it yet. So that money that you're owed, you don't pay zakat on that. As opposed to a trade receivable where you sold an object and you're waiting to be paid, you pay zakat on that.
Okay.
Okay. So monthly rental income requires zakat to be paid. No, it does not. Right? It's just like your other income if you had a job when you're being paid, right? That money just that you get each month, it just whatever you've received up to that point in the year, it just gets added to your own wealth. And then when your zakat date comes, whatever amount of money you have, you just pay zakat on that. Okay.
But
Don't count it twice, basically.
Okay. It is zakatable, but you add it to the grand total.
Yeah, it's already a part of your cash.
Right. It's not that you have to pay no matter what. It goes
Yeah.
to your grand total.
Like
and
if you got rent, let's say you're paying zakat in May or something, so you got rent for 5 months, and you already spent it all. When your zakat date comes, there's no zakat on it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think yeah, I think what I confused here was loan given to masjid. I didn't add that. So actually, matter of fact, I made a mistake. I took it away. But that's, you expect that you're going to get that back, so it does get added to your grand total.
Yeah, you are allowed to defer it to later.
Yeah.
But that's why I mentioned that in this case, this person wants to pay it now.
I wanted to go back, if you don't mind, Mr.
Yeah.
For a little confused about if you intend to pay a loan in the next 12 months. Are we going to see an example, if you don't mind? I'm getting a little confused
That
on
one
that.
right here. The mortgage.
Right. So what I mean is, like, if it says that if you intend to pay, you mentioned an example earlier
Yeah.
that,
Okay. Yeah. So that was the other example that we saw
yeah.
here. No, not this one. This one. So the loan owed to a friend. So this person intends to pay it back within the next year. So we counted it.
Okay.
We counted it as a deduction.
So, okay, so that exactly. So I'll expand on that a little bit. So basically, what we're saying is, let's say if I didn't pay that, or I paid only a portion of it, that's when I have to recalculate, right? I didn't pay the 12,000 for the 1,000 per month, or whatever the total is. Let's say if it was just 1,000, I only ended up paying
Yeah.
$100. So then next year's zakat, I have to add back the 900. Is that what you meant earlier?
No, I said you don't.
If I didn't pay in the next 12 months,
If you
what
didn't
happened?
pay it, then you
And I
reassess
deducted.
next year. When your zakat date comes again next year, you reassess. Now, do you intend to pay it in the next 12 months? If you do, you're gonna deduct it again.
Okay, so it's based on intention. Is that what?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I see. Okay, that makes it clear. Okay. Zakat.
Okay. Investments. Okay. Here's where it gets a little bit complicated. Up to now was easy stuff. Investments, we're talking about stock market investments over here. Okay. If it is short term, whether you're day trading, and day trading is not allowed, but if you're doing that, or you're trading short term, okay, and short term in Sharia is considered within 1 year. So you're buying and selling stocks within 1 year, lunar year. You're gonna treat your investment portfolio now as though it is your business merchandise because you're buying and selling. So when your zakat date comes, whatever the total value is of your investment portfolio, you pay zakat on the full amount. Okay, this is the easiest way. When it's short term, you're gonna pay zakat on the full amount. When it's long term, you have a few ways to do it. Okay, so one way is, let's start with what you have in front of you. Use this formula. Okay, the zakatable portion of shares is what equals zakatable asset ratio times the current value of your holdings. And we're going to see an example on the next slide. Okay, what's the zakatable asset ratio? It's the total current assets of the company divided by its market cap. Okay, and you can get all this information easily for any company that you've invested in. So how does that work? Let's say you own 10 stocks of ABC, you're a long-term investor, company's total current assets are 154 billion, company's market cap is 2 trillion, the current stock price is $120. That's all the information that you need. Okay, now to get your zakatable asset ratio, remember it's what? Total assets divided by market cap. So total assets here was 154 billion divided by market cap, 2 trillion, you got 0.077. Multiply this by the total value of your holdings, which in this case is 10 times 120, 1200. 0.077 times 1200, your zakat is going to be $92.40. Okay, just gotta follow the formula. You just need the information, the numbers, plug it in, and that's how you pay zakat on that. Okay. Another way to do it, I'm not gonna give you that way. This is easier. Use this one. Okay. There's an even easier one I'm gonna give you. There's 3 ways. I'm gonna give you only 2. Next one is using a proxy. Okay. Proxy, it's basically it's assessed every year by the National Zakat Foundation, where they look at the top a certain percentage of the Sharia compliant companies in the S&P 500, and they see that what percentage of those companies' assets are zakatable. Like if they're owned by Muslims, how much of their assets would they be paying zakat on? Okay, so they go through all the steps. They see the total, their cash, their receivables, their merchandise, and they minus their deductibles, their liabilities, and the average changes every year. Okay, every year they reassess it. Last year was 27%. This year is 30%. So what you can do, this is the easiest way, and you're gonna end up paying more than you have to in this case. Okay, it's the more cautious route. Take the total value of your investments, take 30% of that, and then pay 2.5% on the 30%. Okay, don't pay 30% in zakat. You'll end up giving away all your money. Take 30%. Let's say let's say your total investment portfolio is $1,000. And again, this is only for long-term trading. Okay, day trading, you pay on the full amount. Day trading or short-term trading, you pay on the full amount. Long-term, more than 1 year, let's say it was $1,000. Take 30%, which is 300, and then you pay 2.5% on the $300. Okay, which is like $7.50. Okay. What if the investment funds is accessible to you? Can be withdrawn at any time, technically short term. No, I don't think you can call that short term unless you're actually trading short term. But you do not plan to use it in the next 12 months. Also, where do we get the proxy information annually? I just explained it. The National Zakat Foundation, they look at a certain amount of companies every year from the S&P 500, and they get an average. Okay, and then they add a bit to be cautious. So it's an average of the website. Can you get it on the website? Yeah, you could. If you go in their zakat calculator, when you go into investments, there's like a little like information bubble that is used to guide you or something. There they mentioned the proxy. Okay. Yeah, but you could take my word for it. You don't have to go check there. But if you want to, you could. I work as I help as a, what do you call it, Sharia advisor for the National Zakat Foundation. So I do programs for them and stuff. So I'm pretty familiar with the stuff that they do. Yeah, and by the way, thank you for asking, because it reminded me that there are many calculators, zakat calculators on the internet. Most of them have something wrong with them. Okay. Zakat is a very difficult subject. Most people make mistakes in it. Okay, sometimes I make mistakes in it too. But the calculator that National Zakat Foundation has, that one is good. It's the best one I've seen. Okay, and I am working on making one myself. Well, it's not going to be an online calculator yet, but I'm making an Excel sheet where you can just put in your numbers and it'll give you how much zakat you have to pay. So I'm hoping to have that. I haven't started on it yet, but I plan to have that done before next Ramadan, inshallah. What about pension funds? We're gonna get to that. Okay, sorry. The question before, Dave, we'll get to in just a second. What if the investment funds is accessible to you? Well, investments are always accessible. You always have the choice to sell them. So that doesn't matter in this case. Okay, what you may be referring to as pension funds, and we're going to get to that next. There it's different if you have access or if you don't. And you can't call it technically short term unless you are actively trading short term. You're buying and selling the stocks. Okay, if you're doing that, then yes, it is short term. If you do not plan to use it in the next 12 months, then you're long term. You don't plan to sell it or anything, then that's long term. All right. Yes, I'm assuming you want to clarify something, Samira?
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm referring mostly to company shares. So, for example, when you work for a company, you can purchase stocks at a lower rate. So, for those ones, they're accessible to you, but the trading value is different from what's available to the public. So, the value of your shares is different, like what's accessible to you versus what's available in the market. So, I'll defer to
You
that. So,
go
basically,
with the market rate.
okay.
Yeah, go with the market rate, and then if you're not gonna sell them in within 12 months, then take the market rate and then 30% of that, and then 2.5% of that.
Okay, so it'd be considered like a long term as long as you're not using it regularly within the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, Jazakallah.
You're welcome. Dave, you had a question? Or
No, it's surrounding what the other two sisters asked, and my other question. I think you're gonna elaborate after. I think.
okay, let's look at, I think pensions are next. Okay, well, cashing out, if you sell all your stocks, you pay zakat. I mean, you should sell all your stocks. The cash you get just gets added to your personal wealth, just like rental income. And when your zakat date comes, whatever you have left, you pay zakat on that. Nothing complicated there. Okay. Pension funds. This is probably the most complicated part of zakat. Pension funds, the most important thing you have to see, or there's two most important things. One is what funds are making up the pension fund. And secondly, do you have access to it or not? Okay, three things. What funds are making it up? Do you have access to it? And what type of account are the funds being held in? Okay, so you can use this chart. You can take a, I mean, I'm going to give this to you guys. Just ignore this. Okay, this thing down here. So pension funds could be of different types. Okay, there's many different types, different names are given to them. But generally, they all follow the same guidelines in terms of zakat. So we're going to work with RSPs. Okay, our RSP. Our ESP is very similar, but then it gets into children's ownership of them. I'm not getting into that unless someone asks about it. Okay, so if you have employer contributions, something that the employer puts into your pension fund automatically. This includes anything they deduct from your paycheck, even if it's optional deductions. Okay, when you have a choice, the company asks you, do you want us to deduct this amount from your pension fund or not? You say yes, that counts as employer contributions now. Okay, employee contributions, this is anything money that has come to you and now you're putting it in. Okay, so in this top one, employer, you're going to see first, is it vested? Vested, there's different terms that are used for this, but basically, if you leave the company, do those funds move with you? If they don't, they're not vested, you don't own those funds. It's basically a promise from the company that if you stay with us until retirement, we'll give you this much money. That's not your money yet. So no zakat on that. If it is vested, and it usually is, then you will add that to any of your own contributions. And then you're going to look. Do you have access or not? Okay. An access meaning, if you want, can you withdraw the funds? If you don't, you're going to look now what type of account the funds are being held in. If they're just sitting there in a savings account or an account that's not invested, there's no zakat on it. Okay, and I said ignore this thing in the bottom. Okay, no zakat on that. If they're invested, then there is still no zakat on them. There's no access. Okay, I know here it says zakatable. What some scholars say And I mean, this was my opinion before too, more adamantly. Now it's not as adamantly, but I haven't changed it here yet. If the funds are invested, then you are benefiting from that investment. And because of that, many ulama say you should pay zakat on it. Okay. What I lean towards now, and I've consulted on this with many ulama, they've agreed, is that a person should assess for themselves that can you easily pay zakat for it? Okay, maybe if someone's really rich, they have a lot of money, they can easily pay the zakat for it, then pay it. By all means, pay it. You should pay it then. Okay. If you can't, maybe you're not doing so well financially right now, then you don't have to pay it. Okay. There's a middle route that some scholars have said is that you pay zakat on the growth that has taken place since the funds were put in. Okay, whatever growth increase there has been because of the investment, pay zakat on that amount. Okay. Any case, if you are paying zakat on it, you're gonna pay on the proxy amount because it's invested. Okay, so 30% and then 2.5%. Okay, is this much clear so far? This half? Anything unclear I should ask actually? Okay, all good. If you have access to it, if you want, you could withdraw the funds at any time. Now you're gonna look again. So now you are paying zakat. Okay, zakat is due. How much do you pay? Where if it's in savings, you pay on the full amount, minus the taxes and penalties that would apply if you were to withdraw those funds. Okay, it's called a withholding tax, usually about 30%. I mean, it varies based on the amount, but it's very high. You subtract that. If there's any other penalties, subtract that as well. Whatever is left, pay 2.5% on that. If it's invested, then you have two options. Okay, either you pay on the proxy amount, and this isn't written too well, don't misunderstand this. Okay, either you pay on the proxy amount, or you pay on the full amount minus the taxes and penalties that would apply. Okay, you can choose here because it's invested, and technically if you withdraw it, you would get all the funds. So you can look at it either way. You can look at it either as something that is invested right now, and if something is invested, it's very similar to a stock market investment, right? So you can just pay 30% zakat and you're done. No, not 30%, zakat on 30%. Okay. Or you could look at it from the aspect that, okay, I am able to withdraw all this money, but I would be charged this tax and this penalty. So you can do the full amount minus those taxes and penalties. Okay. Yes, Tayyib.
All right. So I don't want to make it more complicated, but I also don't want to assume here. So just for the sake of understanding, when we talk about employer contributions, right, and on this presentation,
Yeah.
that means anything you're contributing directly from your paycheck, whether it's actually your money being taken away from the paycheck for the purpose of investing, and actually the employer, if they're giving you any benefit, such as you invest $10, they invest $10.
Yeah, it'll be both.
Okay, so it's employer contributions, but really it's your money plus anything that the employer sort of adds on as a bonus or as benefit to the employee.
Yeah.
So all of it.
Yeah, that also.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of had to unlearn that right now because I'm in the field and we use the exact terms and it refers to different things. Okay. And you were saying, just to reiterate that very last point you made, it's not proxy amount minus taxes and penalties, it's proxy amount or full amount minus taxes and penalties.
Yes.
Okay. And I see. Okay. I think I'm good.
Sorry, I was trying to find my charger. Laptop's about to die. Just give me a second, please. I'll be right back. Okay. Look, about any other questions about pension funds? All good. Okay. Let's do some practice. This person has 3 investments in company ABC. They have RSP, where they have access to it, and it's in a savings account. Okay, I'll remind you. That's this one. Access and savings. Okay. How much the guy do they pay? Consider the RSP withdrawal penalties and taxes total of $2,000. And for the investments, use the proxy amount. Okay, take a few minutes, put your answer in the chat, please. Okay, we have one answer, $300. I hope I didn't mess up again with the different numbers on both slides. Let me do a calculation as well. $177.5. Okay. You also got 300. $227.5. Okay. Is this long term? It's long term. It's long term. Okay, one more minute. Anyone put in your answers? 90. Okay. $177.5 if long term. Okay. Okay, so those of you who said 177.5, you are correct. Two of you got it. Samira and Hashif. Did I get it right? Yeah, I did. Okay, so we're adding up these three. That gave you 7,000. We're taking 30% of this. That gives you 2,100. And then for the RSP, we're adding only 5,000 because we said 2,000 are the taxes and penalties. Your total zakatable assets are 7,100, and 2.5% of that is $177.50. Okay. Any questions on that? Nothing? All clear? Okay. We're making good time. Another one. You guys want to do another one? You want to move ahead? First one to answer. First one to answer. I'll do what you say. Yes? No? Do it. Move ahead. Anyone?
Let's do it, Sheikh, inshallah.
Do it. Okay. Do it. So we have personal zakatable assets, business zakatable assets already been calculated for you. Equity investments, so basically stock market, long term. RRSP, access and savings, so same thing as last one. RESP, don't worry about the name. Access and invested. Okay, and oh, I didn't give you the. Hold on, I need to see how much I minus for the penalties. Okay. Oh, I think I used the proxy note. Yeah. Okay. So bring this back up. Okay, over here, you're gonna assume the penalty for withdrawing this is $1,000. Okay, $1,000 penalty here, and this one, we're gonna use the proxy amount. We're not gonna do minus taxes and penalty. Just use the proxy amount. Okay, so give that a try. And again, yeah, please put in your answers into the chat. This one's a little bit more trickier than the previous one. Accounting is not your biggest strength. This isn't accounting. This is an obligation from Sharia on every person. So everyone needs to know this. No answers? 1488. Okay. No answers then. Give me one more someone and then I'll look at the answer. One more answer. $472.75. That sounds familiar. That might be the answer. Okay, let's see. Oh no. Okay, so what did we do here? Maybe I messed up. Oh, okay, someone got that answer. Okay, maybe I got it right then. Samira got it. Good job. Okay, so here on the right, you have the amounts. Where did my pointer go? You have the amounts that you are paying zakat on. Okay, so this is full 11,000, 11,000, 32, 32. Equity investments, you take the proxy. 30% of 7,500 is 2,250. RRSP, asset minus $1,000, that's 7,400. And RESP, asset used the proxy, 30% of 5,400 is 1,620. Okay, so although the total assets equal 64,300, the zakatable assets are 54,270. Take 2.5% of this, and you get 1,356.75. Okay, is that clear? It's important in all these problems that we're doing that those of you who are actually doing them, you should all be doing them. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time in your exams because you're going to get problems like these. You should be able to identify what you're doing wrong. That's very important. Okay. If you don't know what you did wrong, then ask me. Run me through the process that you did, and I'll tell you where you made a mistake.
So sorry, Sheikh. The RRSP, you deduct 1,000, and that's a standard practice with RRSPs.
No, it could be any amount. It depends.
And what's the condition? It's not a proxy, right? Or is it a proxy?
No, basically, when you have a pension fund that you're allowed to withdraw, if you withdraw it, you have to pay like a very heavy tax and penalty on that for withdrawing it. So when you're paying your zakat, you're going to pay zakat on what money you have access to. So you don't have access on the full amount because you're going to have to pay the tax and penalty. So you minus that, and then whatever is left, you pay zakat on that.
Okay. And even if you don't intend to use it, you would still pay on the assets that you have. Like if you don't intend to withdraw this year, you would still pay on whatever you own in the RRSP.
Yeah, you still pay it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Jazakallah.
Would in this case, would you just assume like a marginal tax rate, or I think it's at like it's pretty high, like 35%.
It's usually around 38%. But like I've heard that it varies based on the amount. It could be even higher or sometimes a bit lower. But each person would need to see in their own portfolio that what the terms are. Okay, we just have a few more assets. The rest are easy. Collectibles. So, I mean, I never used to add this in here. I just added it because NFTs are becoming more common. NFT is a collectible, non-fungible token. You only pay zakat on collectibles if you are, just like in investments, if you're buying and selling them short term, because then that's your merchandise. Okay. If you're holding them long term, then there is no zakat on them. Okay, so NFTs, sports cards, I don't know, stamp collection, something, anything someone may have. There's no zakat on them. A coin collection, Nowadays, I mean, in Canada or even America, there wouldn't be zakat on that. But if you go the Middle East or somewhere where the coins have gold and silver in them, then that is the exception, where even if it's long term, you pay zakat on that. Just like we talked about, where did it come up? Yeah, jewelry that is used, right? We said that according to the Hanafi school, you pay zakat on it because we say that jewelry, gold, silver has an intrinsic monetary value, even if you're using it. So same thing here, gold and silver, even if it's for a collection, because of the intrinsic monetary value, you will pay zakat on that. Okay. All good. Next. Crypto. Crypto is it's an ever evolving thing. According to many scholars, you're not allowed to invest in crypto. That is Mufti Taqi Uthmani's view. That is Mufti Asim's view. Therefore, it is my view. I've put this here for those people who follow views of some other scholars and have invested, then what do you do? Okay. So if you follow, so according to those who say that you can't invest in crypto, there's no zakat on it if you do, because it's an impermissible type of wealth that you own. But you can't do that. Okay. You can't follow the opinion of those who say you could invest to invest and then switch to those who say that you can't invest, so you don't have to pay zakat on it. If you're going to follow the opinion of those who say that you could invest, if you're going to follow the opinion of those who say that you could invest, then you're going to pay zakat on it as well. Okay, so how do you pay that zakat if you do that? So the cautious approach is, it's called a currency. It has the name currency in its name, so treat it as a currency. No matter what type of crypto you own, pay zakat on the full amount, just like you would pay on cash or dollars. Okay. Balanced approach. I don't know if balance is the right term, but basically, there are very few scholars who say you can invest in any type of crypto. Most who do permit it, they permit in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Just because there are certain conditions in Sharia for something to be considered a currency, and these two fulfill more conditions than any other ones. Okay, they're more established in those terms. So what you could do is you pay, treat the Bitcoin and Ethereum amounts that you own as a currency, pay zakat on the full amount, and anything else that you own, treat it as an equity investment, meaning you pay on the proxy amount. Okay, so you're not looking at that. You're not looking at that then as a currency, more as an investment in a company. Okay, and the most undesirable approach is that you treat all of them like equity investments. That's just you're trying to now pay the least amount possible. But in this case, you would just pay on the proxy amount of the whole thing. Okay, so don't do this one. Don't do this one. If you do have investments, then do one of these. Okay. If you follow the scholars who say that only Bitcoin and Ethereum are permissible, and you have bought other ones as well, then you don't pay zakat on the other ones, because even according to the scholars that you're following, that is an impermissible wealth. So you don't pay zakat on those, just pay on the Bitcoin and Ethereum the full amount. Okay, and I said this when I did our zakat workshop this year. I said it in each one that I did, that when we come back next year, I may tell you something completely different. Okay, in this, because like I said, it's an ever evolving thing. The rulings are going to change. Okay? It might be the same thing next year if they haven't changed yet, but it's very possible that they do. Okay, and I think that is the last of our assets. The zakat al-fitr we already talked about. Okay, a very fun practice problem. We'll do this one and then I'll let you guys go, because after this is discharging zakat, and that's what we're going to do next time. Okay, Nice big problem. I'll run you through it briefly, and then I'll give you like 10, 15 minutes to figure it out. Personal zakatable assets, debt owed to a friend due in 6 months. Equity investments, RSP, no access, savings, no employee contributions. No access, savings. No access, savings. No access, savings. Okay, try to remember what that one was. Crypto, person owns Bitcoin only, and they're gonna use a balanced approach. Business trades receivable, meaning you sold merchandise, you're waiting to be paid. Services receivable, services receivable, you provided a service and now you're waiting to be paid for that. Inheritance, you will receive next month, you haven't yet. An antique cup collection that you're holding long term. Overdue parking tickets, value of a rental property that you own. Monthly car finance, I'm going to assume it's the capital amount, and your average monthly utilities that you pay every month. Okay. Try to figure this one out. I'll give you 10 minutes. Okay, I'll come back. Well, I'm here, but we will look at the answer and put your answers in the chat when you have them. And everyone try them, please. Okay, we have how many people? We have 9 people. I want 9 answers. Okay, from 9 different people. For crypto, do we say full amount is zakatable or proxy? Full. Okay, in the balanced approach for Bitcoin, it's the full amount. Okay. So work on this. I'm gonna have my camera off, but I'm here.
Sorry,
so-
Chef, can you,
Yeah.
you said with services receivables, there's no zakat on that. Sorry, like there's, yeah, you don't pay zakat on that, correct?
Maybe. I don't want to give away the answer now.
I'll try to figure it out.
Do it based on what you remember best.
Okay, Jazakallah. Sounds good.
I mean, I don't want to give the answer because if someone makes a mistake in that right now, it's good. Then you know you made a mistake, and next time you won't. So just try to do everything based on what you remember with us that we've gone through. I know there's a lot of different things we looked at. Just do your best.
Jazakallah.
No one's judging anyone. And now we have 11. Someone had signed out and came back in. So I'm not sure who that was, but I want everyone to answer this. And I want 10 answers in the chat. I'm coming back at 8:50. Okay. Everyone try this. For cup collection, do you plan to sell? No, this is a long-term one.
Sorry, Sheikh, is there anything after average monthly utilities? I don't know, I can't see the screen.
No, nothing below that.
Okay, okay. Jazakallah khair.
That's the last one. Yeah. Okay, we have 4 answers so far. If I opt to pay for the 22,000 inheritance, it could be 12, 17. Okay, without saying whether it's supposed to pay the zakat on the inheritance or not, it's not an optional thing. Either you're supposed to or either you're not supposed to. So you gotta choose one. I still need 6 more answers, guys. I have 4 so far. Okay, that's 5. Seems too low. I don't remember the answer. Let's see. Okay, who's missing still? Okay, another one. That's 6. Layla, we don't have your answer yet. Rasif, we don't have your answer yet. Samira. Okay, just got yours. 454.5. There we have yours. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who's missing? Layla and Fatah, I think. Yeah. Layla and Fatah, we're waiting on you. If you guys are there. Okay, having a hard time. Fatah, are you almost done? Are you there? Okay, it seems like he's not there. Okay, so let's look at the answer. No, maybe I did it wrong. I don't know. 528.25. Did anybody get that? A lot of you got really close. That's pretty low, 528. Okay, well, the good news is I think almost most of you, almost all of you were above that. So in zakat, if you pay extra, then you're good, right? But you know, unless you want to be paying too much extra. Okay, let's look at this. So personal zakatable asset, it stays the same. Debt owed to a friend, that's going to be your deductible. Okay, so it's in red or whatever color this is. Equity investment takes approximately 30%. RRSP, no access savings, you don't count that. No zakat on it. Okay. Crypto, Bitcoin balance, you pay on the full amount. So 13 to 13. Trade receivable, you pay zakat on that, 12.8. Services receivable, no zakat. Inheritance, you will receive, no zakat yet. Okay, the one where it's optional was in a strong loan. When you gave money and now you're waiting to get it back, then you have the option to pay now or later. When you haven't, the money was never yours or anything, you don't pay zakat on it. Okay, so no zakat on the inheritance. Cup collection, it was long term. It's not gold or silver, so no zakat on that. Parking tickets, that's your deduction. Rental property, no zakat on that. Monthly car finance, that's deduction times 12. And average monthly utilities, phone bill. Remember we talked about this last class. You could deduct 1 month's worth. 1 month's worth. Okay, so adding up to all the blues, you get 31,960. Adding up the reds, you get 10,830. Minus the red from the blue, you get 21,130. And 2.5% of this is $528.25. Okay. Now, yes, most of you probably won't have zakat calculations this complex. Some of you might. I've helped people who've had very complicated ones more than this. But it's important that you understand. Does anyone not know where they went wrong?
So Sheikh, if you have a rental property, you don't pay on the value of the rental property.
No, you don't.
Just, okay, but if you get earning rent, then you will pay that.
The rent that you own, it just gets added to your personal cash.
Yeah.
And then whatever amount you have left of that, when your zakat date comes, you pay zakat on that.
Sorry, can you say that again? So the rent that you have, you just pay, you treat it as cash, right?
Yeah, I mean, the rent comes in. It's like your salary from a job.
Yeah.
It just gets added to your money that you have, and then when your zakat date comes, whatever you still have of that, maybe you spent all of it, you don't pay zakat now. If you still have it, whatever you have on that day, now you're gonna pay zakat on that.
So you don't pay like 12 months in advance. You don't look at how much am I going to get, and then you add that to your zakat calculation.
No.
No, you just go based off what's okay on your zakat date.
Yeah.
Okay, Jazakallah.
I still got the wrong answer when I follow this because I think the slide before had utilities at 350. Oh, did it? Why did that keep happening?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I don't know how these mistakes are happening because when I made these, I made this and then I copied and pasted it and then just made the changes. So okay, my apologies. But thank you for catching it. I mean, when I did this in a workshop in Ramadan, no one caught these mistakes. Okay, so let me tell you what it would be then. If we use 350, so the difference between that and 530 is 180, right? Yeah. So our deductibles would be less. We have 31960 minus, so take 180 out of 10,830, you get 10,650. 10,650. You get 21,310 times 0.025. You get 532.75. Is that what you're getting?
You'd be more or less.
It'll be more because your deductibles are less.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes. Jazakallah.
532.75. It's just off by a few dollars. Yeah, I think that's what you got as well. Then 532.75. Okay. That is all for today. I know that was a lot of information for one day. Any questions before we end? Yes, Dave.
Yeah, I was saving this one for the end. But so going back to investments, let's say when you're contributing directly through a company, you don't really for most companies you don't really get to choose the type of portfolio your money gets invested to. So there could be, it could all be non-compliant, Sharia non-compliant, or partially, or you can't really choose. What happens in that case in terms of whether
Well,
it's
if you can't choose which companies and you have an option to opt out of the investment, then you should opt out of it.
right?
If you can't opt out of it and you can't choose what companies, then you need to find out. Well, you could just pay on the proxy 30%. You're probably going to end up paying more because the companies that are non-Sharia compliant, you don't pay zakat on those. But that's a whole other thing of how do you determine what companies are Sharia compliant, which ones are not. That'll be part of the course that we're having end of the month. Mufti Asim is teaching about investments. So I invite you all to join that June 25, 26.
The workshop or
Yeah, it's a weekend intensive course, 2 days.
Okay, and it's up on Ihsan.
Yeah,
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah.
it's about all different types of finances, like contemporary issues in finances.
Okay.
Let's see something. But yeah, so once you know those guidelines, then you can use that to determine which company that should comply, which ones are not. There are some apps that do it as well. I know Zoya is one of them.
Yep.
The one that's Islamically. There's a third one. There's a three big ones.
Right. Yeah, I guess, but the bigger issue here would be if you're not getting a say in what portfolio you go in,
Yeah.
you stay away from you stay away from it.
Yeah, if you could.
Yeah.
On the slides on Moodle, they will be, inshallah. There's some content that explains the terms and conditions, like how to calculate it better. Your textbook covers some of this stuff. A lot of it doesn't. There are some written materials that National Zakat Foundation NZF has on their website. You could look at that. I myself, I haven't compiled anything written on this. I do plan to, but I don't know when I will get the chance to do that. I just have for myself. I just have these slides right now. What if someone has a rental property but income is less than the expenses? Income is less than the expenses. Are they allowed to deduct those from the assets when calculating? Yeah, that 1 month's worth. It'll count as your just like you could deduct 1 month of your own personal expenses. So 1 month of expenses that technically it's a personal expense as well for your property. So you could deduct 1 month's worth of that. Okay. No other questions, anyone? We are in the process of setting up a question portal, no, a consultation portal through our Facebook page. One will be for zakat, and we're doing some other ones as well. They will be announced soon, inshallah. I'm hoping by next week, where people could book one-on-one sessions with someone. Where for zakat it'll be with me. Other things for other people to get help. So, like I did that in Ramadan was with NZF, but we're looking to have something permanent throughout the year, and whenever someone needs. Because not everyone pays zakat in Ramadan. Most people do, but not everyone does. So if anyone does need help, basically book a time with us. You get like half an hour one-on-one to help with your own personal zakat. All right. I think that is all for today.
Sheikh, there's one thing I may add, or
Yeah.
a question I had. So a person recently asked me this, and I found it amusing and also concerning. But maybe you've received this before. So one brother came up to me and he said, Alhamdulillah, I'm in I'm a top income bracket. Allahumma zid wa barik. And he says that, the government takes whatever it is, more than 30% of his income or whatever it is. And he says, is it permissible? He asked me this. He's like, is it permissible to make the niyyah when they take my tax to designate a portion of that as zakat?
No.
And I told him like no. And he said his justification was that, a portion of the 30% that they take does go to maybe zakat eligible causes in the Canadian government. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you've received that question before, but I got that.
I've
from-
got a similar question
Yeah,
where someone said that can I count my taxes as my zakat?
yeah. That pretty much that's what he's asking. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, you can't.
I wonder if we know the same person. I have almost the exact same thing. High earner, paying a lot of taxes.
Maybe.
Almost the exact same thing.
But no.
And obviously, is the reason, just so I understand, like the reason is even if he makes his niyyah, is the reason because it's not the government doesn't have the niyyah of giving zakat, or what exactly is the Islamic Shari'i reason?
Because you don't know.
You don't know for sure.
where exactly where it's going to be spent and if those people are eligible for zakat or not.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Sheikh, if I may, would it also be because we also benefit from the tax that we're paying, right? So it comes like it could be coming back to
Yeah,
service
that could
provided
also
to
apply.
us.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could apply. Yeah.
All right, exactly. All right, inshallah.
I mean, and zakat, it's something. It's so different from taxes. Like if you saw some of the examples we did today, on such like large amounts of wealth, you're paying a few $100s, right? And even in that, people are trying to find a way out of it. But find me someone who would, if you tell them, Canada's tax rate has changed to 2.5%, they'd be ecstatic. They would never hesitate to pay their taxes again. Right? So zakat is just 2.5%. It's nothing. Small amount. Okay. Khair, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, everyone. Next time, inshallah, we'll talk about the distribution of zakat. And I think that will conclude our zakat chapter. Inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah khair, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.